People have asked time and time again exactly how many accounts should we be applying for, how frequently, and I want to address a little of that in today's video. Welcome back to the VIP Financial Ed channel. My name is Matthew Pillmore. We help people access specialty types of accounts in order to leverage their way to wealth more easily and exponentially increase cash flow without major sacrifices to lifestyle. All very, very cool results we want, but one of the big secret sauces of this recipe is that of these debt weapon capital accounts. And many, many times, the majority of these accounts are going to require a credit inquiry. So people have asked time and time again exactly how many accounts should we be applying for, how frequently, and I want to address a little of that in today's video. Now, as unpopular as the answer always is, the real answer is that it depends. So we've got to start to kind of reverse engineer what does it depend on and how does that apply to you. The first thing that I think you have to address is what are your long-term objectives? If your long-term objectives include creating residual forms of income that are as passive as possible, where you're achieving the income goals you have as efficiently as you can, so that you have as much freedom of choice with your time, then obviously you're on the same page with almost everybody that visits this channel. From there, you've got to start taking steps backward into your short-term action plan and short-term objectives as well. And for the most part, the bulk of the people on this channel are going to benefit by targeting somewhere between 2 to 8 new debt weapons each year. That's per person. Now, every debt weapon account that you try to get, you should do everything in your power to allow that account to remain individual to you. So don't fill out joint credit card applications. Don't fill out joint line of credit applications. Don't even, if possible, fill out joint mortgage applications. The more you can do on your own, separate from your significant other or business partner, the better off you're going to be. From those 2 to 8 new debt weapons per person, the objective is to acquire somewhere in the ballpark of between $25,000 and up to $250,000 each and every year. That's not just 1 year or 2 years in a row. That's doing this perpetually for the indefinite future. There is no such thing as having access to too much money if that money is used in a way that helps you create more wealth. The only time that having access to too much money becomes a real thing is if you've struggled with fiscal irresponsibility in the past. If you've become fiscally irresponsible and you're unable to manage that money in a safe, successful way, then you should always minimize access to additional capital as much as you can. Now, for the most part, getting access to these accounts will require at least a 700 credit score. So there will be times where you're applying for more of these debt weapon accounts in a shorter period of time, and there will be times where you're waiting and have various holding patterns where you're not applying for the debt weapon accounts at all. Some of those examples might look like, well, I've been out applying for new properties. I've submitted contracts or offers to bid on buying a house. If I'm waiting for a seller to respond, or I'm even under contract on a property that I've put an offer on, then it wouldn't make sense for me to apply for a new debt weapon account, potentially harming my current credit position prior to closing on that investment. We never want to disrupt our intentions and objectives by pursuing additional new accounts. So most of the time, new debt weapon accounts are acquired between major objectives taking place, when we can actually lean on our credit where it's not going to cause disruption, even if there's soreness caused by the activity. I look at the difference between leaning on credit and creating soreness as much different than leaning on credit and causing injury, much like your physical nutrition or your physical health. If you're exercising incorrectly, obviously you can cause yourself injury. If you're exercising correctly, obviously you should be sore the next day. Credit is intended to fluctuate. Anybody that's attempting to maintain perfect credit doesn't understand the value of credit. A lot of people want to avoid credit and therefore believe they should have stronger borrowing power because their likelihood of default is very, very low. Unfortunately, that's not exactly how the credit scoring formula sees it. By avoiding credit, you're only hurting your potential at getting the best credit scores possible. Maintaining the highest credit scores possible will give you the best chance at maximizing the frequency with which you can go out and chase more and more debt weapons. If your credit scores are at that 700 point and are just above the cusp of where we want to see them in order to recommend submitting an application, reducing the frequency with which you're applying is important in order to allow your credit to actually absorb the short-term consequences that come from that inquiry being added to your report as well as that limited payment history, not yet having any seasoning behind it. Those two factors are going to be counting against you and counting against your credit by 25%. So just know that by adding new debt weapons to your overall profile, there is most of the time going to be some short-term negative influence to your credit, which is why we have to be perpetually sensitive to when we recommend somebody actually apply. I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you on the next one. Until then, make it a great day today and take care.
Alrighty, so I realize that some of you have not gotten one of the single most popular budgeting tools available, not to mention it's free, and that is called the Cash Flow Cruncher. So what I want to do today is walk you through the process of downloading your very own copy. It comes in the form of an Excel spreadsheet, so it's very easy to use. And it's quick to navigate. So let's go ahead and walk through that process together. Go to cashflowcruncher.com, which will take you to the download page. Simply type your email address into the field to claim your free copy and go ahead and select the red button. Immediately it'll pull up the download button, which will open a new Cashflow Cruncher spreadsheet. The first page it'll open is the Cash Flow Summary tab, which is a non-editable page. It's very important to understand that this opening tab will not require you to put any information into these fields. This actually imports the data from the other tabs below. Now, if you've ever used an Excel spreadsheet, you'll navigate the spreadsheet by going to individual pages down here. And it'll start with the revenue and assets page. On this page, you'll want to itemize each individual income that you bring into the household or the business. Now, it's always been my recommendation that you create an individual cash flow cruncher for your businesses, an individual cash flow cruncher for your real estate, and an individual cash flow cruncher for your household.